Good morning and welcome to a Tuesday edition of Breakfast Central. It's another morning. It's been a tough past 24 hours for Nigerians as they struggle to get access to fuel, which is bought at exorbitant prices. But my motivational Tuesday morning quote for you would be that tough times don't last, but tough people do. I am Olive MOD.
And I am Osalgi Ogbon. And, I would say in response to that Nigerians are tired of being tough.
We are.
The things that we're tough about, unfortunately, are, some of the most basic things that you just can't even make any sense out of. I mean, I did, get petrol yesterday, but, in the process, I did take a look at the faces of these Nigerians that have to beg, and I mean, you can see the desperation and frustration on their faces just trying to get petrol, begging almost, to get petrol, trying to get into petrol stations, trying to, maneuver their way somehow, some way, to get into a petrol, just to buy petrol.
I saw a tweet.
It's so painful.
We'll take more about that when we get to what Nigerians are saying. But I saw a tweet where someone said that they had to even be coerced to buy meat pie before they get petrol.
I mean, there's that. There is those, but the general picture really is what I'm referring to. The whole idea, because if you look at every one of these faces, and I did tweet this yesterday, that when we're done with the argument, about other irrelevant things all over social media, everyone's still going to meet at the petrol station and face the reality of what it is to be in Nigeria today and be a Nigerian. And I don't know how in any way this makes sense, that as a government in power, Nigerians have to literally beg to just buy petrol. This is one of the world's largest oil producers. I don't know. Anyway, Adebola, do you have any answers for us? She's joining us with breakfast headlines this morning. Have you seen the desperation that I speak of?
Of course not, Osage. Good morning, Osage and Olive. It's good to be here Tuesday morning. Yes, in spite of the daunting challenges, fuel scarcity. Well, it's been a tough one. Queues here and there, people trying to get fuel to enable them, commute to one destination to the other. And then to top that up, there was a debate yesterday, in the Senate regarding the increase in tariff. And I saw how the Senate grilled the Minister of Power as regards him reversing that order, or directive rather, for him to increase tariff for, band A category. It's just a lot to grapple with, at this point in time. Fuel scarcity, escalating prices of goods and services. Then we have to grapple with increase in tariff. It's just all in one, just one too much for the average Nigerian.
And every government comes into office, promising, to ease the suffering of Nigerians, to make things better, promising change, promising improvement in the, life and welfare of the average Nigerian. But it feels like every single time it just gets worse, and Nigerians just continue to adjust and adjust and adjust and, make amends to their living standards, make amends, to the things that they have to do to source, the income to just stay alive. And I just keep wondering, what did any Nigerian do to deserve this level of, suffering? I mean, to just buy petrol.
Just to quickly chip in.
I don't know there's any other place in the world that this happens.
Just to quickly chip in, talking about promises. Last week, NNPC promised we should not panic buy, that there is enough petrol to go round everybody in the nation. And here we are, here we are this week, grappling for fuel. It's just shocking how they make promises, like you rightly mentioned, and then turn around, you find out something else. It's just a different ball game. It's quite.
Yeah. But it's a really unfortunate situation that we found ourselves. I don't think that there's anything we can do to make it better, because I mean, I don't know what we as a people can do. It's bad enough that we have to buy it at a very, very ridiculous price, and then we're now still hustling to buy. Yesterday, the traffic from the mainland to the island, it was ridiculous, because what we then see is the accuses the Mobile on Ahmadu Bello Way, if I'm correct. The traffic on this road yesterday was ridiculous, because the queues then morphed from the filling station into the main roads and cause traffic, even for those who are not trying to buy fuel. So it's just, everyone is cranky. Not only are you finding life difficult because of the inflation, you're finding it price of fuel very expensive, then you're unable to even get the product. Then even when you say, okay, you know what, let me just go home and rest, you'll be caught up in traffic. When you finally get home, there's no power. So it's just a lot of things hitting Nigerians at the same time. our resilience is being threatened because, yes, we've been known to be resilient people, that we're pushed back against the wall and we sort of fight back. But Nigerians are tired of fighting back. We're tired of being strong. We just want a bit of a soft landing. We need a bit of soft life. And that's what we're asking the federal government, to make life easier for us. And the NNPC needs to come and explain what exactly is going on. Today, we're hopefully going to be joined by someone from the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria to talk about exactly what is going on regarding the fuel scarcity. But Adebola, would have you join us for breakfast headlines in a moment. Let's share what our top stories are.
This morning in Edo State, the governor increases minimum wage to 70,000 naira.
There have been reactions, and we'll be taking some of the reactions later when we look at which way Nigeria, or what Nigerians are saying. And the fuel scarcity, of course, is a major concern in cities across the nation.
We also will be talking about the Senate beginning an investigative hearing on the electricity hike.
And international, ahead of workers, they were going to be looking at, the state of workers. I think it's not rocket science to know exactly how workers feel today.
The newspaper front pages, as always, comes your way. What are the major stories making headlines across Nigeria this morning? But first of all, breakfast headlines with Adebola Deduba.
Hello and welcome to Breakfast Headlines. I am Adebola Adeduba. The Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria have shed light on the lingering fuel scarcity in the nation, revealing that it could take up to 2 weeks or more to fully resolve the issues. Speaking to journalists, Public Relations Officer of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, Chinedu Ukadike, attributed the scarcity to a combination of importation bottlenecks and delays in marketers' license renewals by the Nigerian midstream and downstream petroleum regulatory authority. Governor Godwin of Edo State says he increased the minimum wage in the state to reflect the current economic realities of the country. Obaseki had announced a 70,000 naira minimum wage, an increase from the 40,000 naira paid previously by his government as against a 30,000 naira national minimum wage. According to him, the new wage comes into effect on May 1st, 2024. This is as the Nigeria Labour Congress battles the federal government over increasing the minimum wage to match increasing national inflation and skyrocketing food inflation. Let's also tell you that Kano State High Court has reserved May the 16th for ruling on a motion on whether the state government should serve notice of criminal charges on the immediate past governor of Kano State, Abdullahi Ganduje, and 7 others respondents. The charges are bordering on allegations of bribery, diversion, misappropriation of public funds, including the purported acceptance of about $413,000 and 1.38 billion naira in bribes. Burkina Faso's military government has suspended several international news organizations, citing their reporting on the Human Rights Watch report accusing the army of civilian killings. The suspensions announced by the country's communications regulator, the CSC, targets major outlets like Le Monde in France, The Guardian in UK, Deutsche Welle in Germany, and TV5 Monde in France. In Southern Africa, as political parties count down to a few days before elections, all political parties are doing their bit to lure the voters in their corner. The Nkata Freedom Party, one of the oldest political parties, says it is ready for the D-Day. The party has embarked on a dynamic and engaging campaign, reaching out to every corner of Durban and Musdunzi, as these are critical swing voters' cities. In East Africa, people in the Kenyan village in Kamukuchuri have recounted the experience of the deluge which hit their local area overnight after a dam nearby broke, killing dozens. Kamuchuri village lies close to the town of Mayamahiu, just north of Kenya's capital, Nairobi. Meanwhile, workers used construction vehicles to try to clear some of the vast swathes of mud carried along after the dam broke. In the meantime, the Kenyan government has announced a 1-week delay in school reopening due to ongoing heavy rains and deadly floods ravaging the East African nation. Classes were originally scheduled to resume on Monday after the midterm break, but torrential downpour have severely impacted many schools. Education Minister Ezekiel Makoju, who confirmed the one-week postponement with classes resuming on Monday, May 6, 2024, disclosed that the decision allows time for necessary repairs and safety measures to be implemented. And that's all on Breakfast Headlines. It's back to Osage and Olive.
Thank you very much, Adebola, for bringing us Breakfast Headlines. We'll see you around.
You're welcome.
And now let's share what our big story, let's get into our big stories today. Remember that you can be a part of our conversations. On YouTube, we are streaming live at News Central TV. In case you have to leave the house, not to worry, you can still be connected. And on all social media platforms is at News Central TV. We'll be right back after this break. Organized labor unions in Nigeria have accused the government of playing lip service to addressing the current hardship affecting them. Some of the unions spoke to newsmen in Abuja during a press conference ahead of the 2024 Workers' Day celebration coming up on May the 1st. Marvelous Obomanu reports.
International Workers' Day is a day set aside to celebrate the resilience of workers and their contribution to nation building. To some Nigerians, the 2024 Workers' Day celebration with the theme, People First, seems like opening up a wound that is still fresh.
We are celebrating the May amid economic crisis in the country.
What is the workplace without people? Who keeps the wheels of production going? And who are the contributors to our national development?
The theme also highlights the importance of putting the interests of workers at the core of government's policies and actions. But many say this seems like a pipe dream as public officers continue to amass wealth to the detriment of Nigerian workers.
We will not have a former governor concerning about using 800,000 US dollars just to pay advance of his child's school fees. We will not have another paying contractors over 10 billion for a fictitious airport project. We will not have people buying luxurious cars worth over 160 million each while the citizens suffer.
Today, we have experienced policy mishaps and of course policy somersaults where the people are put in the bottom line. A case in point is the increase in the electricity tariff without following the due process and in line with the Act, where stakeholders will have been involved in critical decisions that affect the life.
Organized labor unions in Nigeria say workers have not received the best from the current government, thus their continuous fallout with the current administration over the continuous lip service to the plight of Nigerian workers.
Today, we reflect on the journey of the labor movement in Nigeria. We cannot ignore the challenges that confront us, from unfair labor practices to inadequate wages, from unsafe working conditions to the erosion of workers' rights. Our right is far from over.
It is believed that this year's Workers' Day, which comes up on May the 1st, will provide an opportunity for government and labor to have a rethink on issues affecting workers' performance with a view to improving their productivity. In Abuja for News Central, Marvelous Obomanu.
Thank you, Marvelous, for that report. It's a Workers' Day tomorrow, and Nigerian workers are not entirely, they're not pleased. A lot of Nigerian workers are not pleased. Let's not even put entirely. Entirely is really stretching it. Because if you go on social media, you can feel the pulse of the people. Much later, when we take what Nigerians are saying, that'll be evident. But I think every single individual in Nigeria can see the reality of what it is. You're going to work, you're earning salary. Your salary hasn't been increased, but your cost of living has increased. So if you are earning, for example, let me say 70,000 naira, which is the new minimum wage in Edo State. What can 70,000 naira buy you in a home, right? So whatever it is that you used to, what 70,000 could afford last year or last 2 years, you can't afford it now. 70,000 is equivalent to maybe a bag of rice. I don't know if a bag of rice is still 70,000 at this rate, now that the dollar has jumped to 1,400 naira. So it's not really the best of times for Nigerian workers. It's a really rough patch. There's no way to sugarcoat it. this government, I don't know.
It's never really been easy. I don't think there's ever been a time where, Nigerian workers can say, oh, things are a lot easier. Maybe somewhere around 1999 to year 2000, things were slightly better then. In the Obasanjo administration, the Human Development Index was seemingly better then. Nigeria's economy, of course, was improving, just recovering from the military era. But, post that era, slightly, in Yar'Adua's time also, Goodluck Jonathan's time, seemingly okay. Not great, but it just wasn't that bad. But in the last 8-9 years, it has been complete chaos, really. And I agree with you. What can 70,000 naira buy? If that is the minimum wage in Edo State, even if that's only relevant in the next couple of months while Obaseki is still there, I don't know how sustainable it will be. It's one of the things we're going to be speaking about this morning. But they're dealing with an increased, cost of living, 10 times worse than it was 2 years ago. And it was bad 2 years ago, so imagine it being 10 times worse now. You have, increased electricity costs, increased petrol prices, increased food prices. Inflation is currently, at food inflation of about 40% inflation. So it's generally a really, really difficult time for the average Nigerian worker. And I agree, salaries have not improved. Edo State talking about 70,000 naira now is only just an announcement that was made yesterday or the day before. Across the country, states are struggling to pay 30,000 naira or even 40,000 naira. And I mean struggle. There's a lot of states that are running into debt of billions and billions of naira because they have to keep borrowing to pay 30,000 or 40,000 naira minimum wage. And that is for public sector. Imagine what the private sector is also having to deal with for businesses that have struggled to survive, businesses that have even folded in the last couple of years, multinationals that have had to leave Nigeria. These are all, of course, going to be affecting the average Nigerian worker because jobs are being lost and those people are being thrown back into the labor market or the unemployment register. So it's tough, and I'm not sure what, government will propose, on Workers' Day, what statements, they would make, what promises they would make this time. We're still talking about Landmark Beach and the number of jobs that would be lost there. The conversations continue, regardless of how anybody feels. It must be stated that it is unfair for that business to be blown away. Oh, yeah, the federal government has right of way. Oh, the coastal road is important in, Nigeria's economic, development, one thing or the other. Absolutely, I agree with that.
It's easy for people to put, and whilst I agree with you that is true, but it's easy for people to make this argument when their pockets are not personally involved. Because the truth is, if we even look at it, every land in Lagos State belongs to the government.
I agree with that.
Every land is held, it belongs to the government, and they can reclaim it at any time. So it's when they now come to your personal, like if you are being, people will say, oh, you are being emotional, you're being sentimental about this. But the role of the government is not to steal the joy of the people. I understand that, oh, it might be for the greater good, but...
So, I've seen a lot of, divergent views on this, and once again, regardless of however it is, painted or how it is explained, it is unfair. And it's not just because of that one person. Even if, yes, one person's rights is, no different from my rights. But it's not, the conversation is not just about that one person. It's about the many people that will be affected, the shanties, the small businesses that will be affected, by just that road.
Because we're talking about that, we're talking about Jakonde as well.
Yeah.
So it's not as if we're focusing on this particular one because it's a public one.
And unfortunately, like I always say, I still don't feel like there has been, entire honesty on the side of the government with regards to this. Is there a different way that this could have been done without necessarily affecting all of those businesses? I believe so. They maybe just haven't x-rayed, all possible, opportunities that could have come out, or, the possibilities of having both of them still run. If it is not possible, then it's fine, if the road is that important. If the road is from here to, Calabar, did they think of maybe let's start in Calabar and then bring it all the way down to Lagos, give these guys 1 or 2 years while the road is being built to pack up, figure out what their next step is? Or do we just start here? And where is the first phase? And that's something I've also seen, a couple of hours ago. Like the first phase of this, project, where does it end? Are we certain that within the years that have been stipulated, this project will continue, or just going to do the first phase
and then leave it for the next administration?
You can imagine. So I just feel, there's just some bad air around it, that I just cannot ignore. But if they have to build a road, let them build a road. Everybody will drive to Calabar, go to Tinapa.
Wow, okay.
Anyway.
Let's come back here to Lagos. Still here in Lagos, looking at the issue of the fuel scarcity. Queues for premium motor spirit, PMS, also known as petrol, have resurfaced, and the country is being thrown into a fresh round of fuel scarcity despite assurances by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, that it has resolved the cause of fuel shortage in the country. According to the report, the fuel scarcity was due to a shortage in the supply of PMS to the nation's capital and other states, as this led to the closure of filling stations in the affected areas.
Meanwhile, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, through its public relations officer Chinedu Ukadike, has revealed that the ongoing petrol shortage, which is affecting an increasing number of states in the country, is expected to take around 2 weeks to resolve, as there is no petrol product available for supply in the country due to challenges in sourcing caused by ongoing maintenance at refineries in Europe. Joining us now on Breakfast Central is Chinedu Ukadike. He's the PRO IPMAN. Good morning. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Ukadike.
Yeah, good morning, and good morning, Nigerians.
Great to have you. It's not a very easy time for Nigerians across the country. I'm sure that you've seen the frustration, that is currently being spread. So help us understand, the statements from IPMAN talking about a turnaround maintenance in Europe, and how this really is a reason to blame for petrol scarcity in Nigeria. Make that make sense for us.
Yeah, I want you to understand that Nigeria is heavily dependent on importation of petroleum products. However, we have crude oil in Nigeria we export, and some refineries abroad because of the breakdown of our 4 refineries we have here in this country. We will not be able to refine crude oil, so we cannot get petroleum products domestically. So now petroleum products now is being classified as one of the important products, one of the mainly important products in Nigeria. And within this period of time, you will understand with me that there is this war, Ukraine and Russia. And Russia in the international community contributes around 11% of exported products. So the war is also drastically affecting Russia domestic production of PMS, HSK, ATK, ATO. While some other refineries like in Belgium, in Sweden, and Portugal are also doing their normal turnaround maintenance. So most of these refineries' output now is not sufficient enough. And when NNPC spokesperson said after their meeting, told us they are having logistics problem, which includes inadequate supply from their suppliers, and vessel problem, which is most of the vessels they are using are also doing some maintenance. So you find out that all these things put together are the factors that has seen us having inadequate supply, and the sufficient period of an NNPC was shrinked. There's no 30-day sufficiency for us to be able to use PMS locally to enable imported vessels to bat in this country, knowing fully well that imported vessels bat at the coastal area. So it will be so difficult for NNPCL, who is the sole importer of PMS into this country, after deregulation. Although some companies tried, but they couldn't succeed. Some of them who succeeded couldn't go back.
All right. What exactly, I need you to break down the role that NNPCL is playing in all of this situation. Would you say that NNPCL has been very fair in its ability, or has been fair in selling fuel or making the product available as it gets it? And I'm asking this because there have been allegations of favoritism to certain filling stations, that they sort of insist that the filling stations exhaust their stash before coming back to top up. So there's some sort of a gap between that time when it's exhausted and when they can get, and even trying to get, that there's some level of favoritism that is being played. Can you clarify if this is true or not?
Well, NNPC is a company, and in line with the PIA view, it was established as a company to continue to distribute petroleum products locally. I also want to reassure you that within this period under review, that NNPC have tried as much as possible to be able to ensure there is adequate supply of petroleum products. You will find out that there is no consistent supply scarcity within this period. Even if there is, it might not last a day or two, it will be cleared off. This is the first time scarcity is lingering for a week now. And it's also affecting Lagos. Once scarcity affects Lagos, you know that it's very, very serious. Because Lagos is the grand area where all the vessels will bat before smaller shuttle vessels will take them to Calabar, Warri, and Port Harcourt. These are the all coastal areas where we have the private tank farm owners or the private tank farm, where products are being distributed so that they can reach the nooks and crannies of this country. So products definitely now move from the wet area to the dry area. The reverse is the case because one, Kaduna refinery is no longer working for over a decade now. So we are not expecting any product from that, although they said that before December, according to the news, that Kaduna refinery will be upstream. So NNPCL as a company is trying his best to ensure that that is petroleum products distributed. And also as a new company that is saddled with this kind of tax, they are also going the kind of both administration and operational challenges, which I know that within some period of time, they are going to overcome it. Because all this thing, is being cropped up within a new regime where subsidy is being removed. So for me, to the best of my knowledge, I also believe that NNPC is trying their best to ensure that petroleum products gets to Nigerians.
Mr. Akadike, just to quickly clarify, is this something that we should accept as our new reality, that every week or every 2 weeks there will be fuel scarcity? Is that going to be the new reality of Nigerians? Do we come to terms with that?
No, that is not my statement. My statement.
No. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
I stated that because of this lacuna, because of this thrift in the supply chain, it's a chain reaction. Once there is a thrift in supply chain, it will definitely take 2 weeks to be able to get normalcy, return to the filling stations. Because as independent marketers, we are the last breaking the bulk of petroleum products. So I know the intricacies and processes of loading and discharging and traveling 600 and something kilometers from the western zone to the northern zone to be able to discharge these products. And by the time this truck will leave Maiduguri to Abuja, it will take definitely like 2 days. After passing the dreadlocks of Apapa, that one will also take another 2 or 3 days. That is 5 days. Then after loading for 2 days, it will also take another 7 days. Now that same truck will now take another 7 days to return, because it's not also easy to leave Apapa and get to its destination with these bad roads. You understand, man? The wear and tear of the vehicle. So by the time this truck will leave Maiduguri and get to Apapa or Port Harcourt or Calabar or Warri, where they can be able to get petroleum products, it will take definitely close to 14 days for all these things to take place. So sometimes, NNPCL do kind of interventions of priority loading, ensuring that especially Abuja and its suburbs have petroleum products. You understand me? That does not, clear the air that fuel is now available. But because Abuja is a citadel of power, they give priority to ensure that business and administrations move in Abuja, so that Nigerians will not be affected. But I also want to tell you that within this period of time, yes.
Yeah, the number of days it takes a truck to move from Maiduguri or any other part of the country, to Apapa and back and forth, that's a totally different conversation, and that's between the truck drivers and their petrol stations. There should be, of course, a working formula that doesn't require, a 2-week process, before you can get petrol. I'm sure that they have that figured out. But I want you to speak once again on this whole idea of turnaround maintenance for refineries in Europe. If to a lot of people that just doesn't make any sense, what refineries exactly are we working with in Europe that all decided to do turnaround maintenance at the same time? Is this a thing that they all do at the same time every year? That that they've all chosen this period now to all do turnaround maintenance. And I don't know that even those refineries don't have, viable options that work when they're doing turnaround maintenance so that at least they can continue business. So I don't know that that's an excuse that a lot of Nigerians would simply, accept and say, okay, well, there's that. And then there's also an issue that I've read, on your article, talking about license renewal. So, also clarify exactly what that is about, so we understand what's going on here and, where we're headed, this morning.
Okay, let me take it one after the other. Talking about is for truck and transport drivers to talk about the dreadlocks in Apapa and the days of loading. I want to state clearly here that we, the independent marketers, we own trucks. It is even one of the prerequisites of the former NNPC that you must own a truck before you become an independent marketer. So we manage those trucks, we employ those drivers, and we dispatch them to go and do their petroleum product. So there is no way saying whether an independent marketer should discuss the issue of bringing products from one location to another. We are in charge. We pay. We own the trucks. We buy the trucks. We employ the drivers. And we know the problems they face on the road. Even when they have those problems, they also refer back to us. Except you have few skeletal people who are into transportation business. You understand me? But I also want to tell you that 70% of the trucks moving around in this country are owned by independent companies. I want you to have that in the back of your mind. Now, the issue of the refineries in abroad, if you follow history very, very well, you'll find out that in 2022, we also suffered this kind of thing. Some of the refineries did their turnaround maintenance and all this. I also have told you that the war in Ukraine, because I told you that Russia supply 11% of domestic petroleum exports, control it in the world. So when you don't have most of your refiners ready to serve for you, we are not magicians. And since we are not magicians, if you have any little click, even if it's a week, in terms of purchasing your products abroad, definitely it will affect you domestically. So I don't know why, because it's so shameful that Nigeria is still importing petroleum products. After we have a very big refinery and we have crude oil here in Nigeria, we are still importing. It's so shameful. So whatever your seller is experiencing, I don't know where Nigeria is sourcing there, but I also know that quarterly, because this quarter is normally January, the first quarter is where some of these refineries do their turnaround maintenance. So it has been a tradition, it has been chronic, except you have a sufficient period of 30 to 60 days to enable you pass within this period of 2 weeks turnaround maintenance on some of these refineries in Europe. And sometimes, if you have vessel breakdown or lack of vessel, because most of the vessels, maybe they're not being owned by Nigerians. So if you have vessel breakdown, it will also affect your supply because it's back to back. Nigeria can continue to keep a shipload of vessels on the sea, and they'll be bringing demurrage just because they want to sustain a supply of petroleum product. So maybe they know how they schedule their vessels, and unfortunately, they couldn't be able to get one done before this other one arrives. So, and they said they're expecting vessels. And once those vessels arrive, they're just trying to manage whatever they have. Once those vessels arrive, I won't speak for NNPC or NNPC, but somebody who has been experienced in this industry, I know the challenges they face. You understand me? So that is why I said that that logistics they are talking about might be because of this turnaround maintenance that is ongoing. I can also give you credit of companies in Europe that are doing turnaround in this period of time. So once your supply doesn't have product to give to you, definitely you will not have anything to sell.
All right, before you speak about license renewal, do you have any information on what countries we are speaking about here? Aside Russia.
I'm talking about Sweden. I'm talking about Sweden. I'm talking about Sweden. I'm talking about Portugal. I'm also talking about Belgium too.
All right, so Russia, Belgium, Sweden, and Portugal. And these refineries all are doing turnaround maintenance at the same time.
There are so many countries I can't remember, but maybe when you privatize me, I will lecture you on that.
Okay.
Okay. All right, talk about the license
renewal.
Let me also
talk about licensing.
Yes.
NNPC have designed a portal, what is called Customers Express. And in that Customers Express is where marketers, independent marketers, precisely order their products from NNPCL. So within a period of time, NNPCL in that their portal said they have 15,000 licensed marketers. And most of these marketers have not renewed their DPI licenses. And in order to bring a reform to the industry and to ensure they are dealing with marketers, they have now decided that all those marketers should renew their licenses. And the licenses are being renewed by NNDPR, which is the policeman of the industry. So NNDPR licensing portal is also open because all these companies have now ensured that you don't interface with them. You pass through their portal to either renew your licenses, to renew your bulk purchase agreements, to order your products, to dispatch your products. All these things are done in the comfort of your home through your tablets, through your phones. Now, the DPR had a meeting with an NNPC and they decided that marketers who their license is not up to date, 2024, cannot be able to access the portal, so that they can be able to weed away ghost marketers if there are. And the process of renewal is so cumbersome, and the prices of renewal has gone high. Most of the licenses we normally renew with 12,000, 15,000 naira before are now 100 and something, 200 and something thousand. When you access it through the portal, it will generate around 100 and something thousand. And these are not licenses we have been renewing before with 18,000 naira, 12,000 naira. And all other processes like the MISTO, the leak test, and all the rest of them, all these things are now the DPR charges money, ranging from 50-something thousand, depending on the tank. If you have up to 100 tanks or 20 tanks in your filling station, you have to times that 20,000, maybe 30,000 naira tanks, and 10 tanks you have, or 5 tanks you have. And we are not getting adequate supply of petroleum products. The cost of money for this business is so high. This is a business we normally order for 5,000 liters of PMS with 8.1 million naira. Now it is going for 25.something million naira. For you to get a truckload of this, you are talking about so 50 million. So the cost of this money is high. Most marketers could not be able to capitalize. Most marketers now lean on others, maybe what they call sharing. When one buy for 5,000 liters, the 3 marketers might share it. That is why we have been campaigning for what we call energy bank or petroleum bank to be able to give us access to funds, because the percentage which the commercial banks gives to us, sometimes by the time you finish what you are doing, you are still going to pay back with your own personal money. There's some of the interests of the banks. So once a very good bank, where that one will be a topic for another day. But that process now, like what is on ground, the NNPCL have now told us in the meeting that it is only 1,050 marketers that have renewed their licenses.
Yep.
And if 1,050 marketers out of 15,000 are still pursuing, around 14,000 are still pursuing to renew their licenses, It means that even when this product becomes adequate, you have skeletal filling stations operating. And this will also cause another artificial scarcity. And that is one way of opinion that NNPC in its magnanimity should use 2023 and 2024 licenses to admit people into their portal, so that by the middle of this year, those who cannot be able to renew their license will be wiped off, so that Nigerians can have access to petroleum products. It is only independent petroleum marketers that have filling stations in the nooks and corners of this country. And we can be able to distribute these petroleum products without stress to every part of this country. There's nowhere you will go in this country you will not see an independent.
In the interest of time, because we need to wrap up, but just clarify that the NNPC is still the sole importer of petroleum products into Nigeria. There's no other,
yes.
Other people that, okay, well, and is that the same because of the dollar scarcity issues? Is that still the reason?
I think there is this disparity in dollar dealing between the NNPC and other importers. I also know it's on record that some importers during the deregulation process, when they open up the market, try to import. I think Asia also tried to import petroleum products. Some of them were successful. Around 4 independent companies were successful to bring in petroleum products. But by the time they brought in petroleum products into this country, going back again, the dollar have risen.
Yeah.
They're pegging up the dollar at 750 at that particular point in time. But it's around 850. Yeah. So they are almost going at a loss because they cannot be able to, those differences, they cannot be able to balance it.
I understand
and
that.
The government, so that's a very big problem for them.
Yeah, Mr. Okadike, final question, if you can, in 30 seconds. Do we expect the price of petrol to increase, from what it currently is, with the whole confusion with regards payment of subsidy or non-payment of subsidy? Nasser El-Rufai, former Kaduna State governor, says that we're paying even more for subsidy now. So do we expect that at some point the Nigerian government, or rather petroleum prices, will increase from 600, average where it is now?
If we're expecting that means we're inviting what I call electronic. When I use electronic, the economy will nosedive because you also know that everything in this country borders on oil and gas, both the goods, commercial services, and goods, agricultural produce. They all take dairy from oil and gas. Once there is an increase, the economy will nosedive. And that's why government is doing this kind of passive subsidy to be able to maintain goods and services at a minimum prices, whereby me and you can be able to buy something to feed our family. So once you increase petroleum products from this manageable 750 naira to 11,000 something, in line with the dollar increase, you understand me? Because the GMD of NNPC stated clearly that what determines the price of petroleum products is forex. Once the forex go high, the price of petroleum products, which is semantic, which is correct. Okay. You understand? Because we are importing it.
So it means we are still paying subsidy, just to clarify. All right.
I just wanted to also quickly clarify. Is there any temporary relief that can be employed to ensure that we can prevent the frequency of this fuel scarcity? You did mention about how the licensing fees need to be brought down to enable other players in this sector get their licenses. So are there other temporary measures that can be maybe put in place to mitigate the current harshness of access to products?
Yeah, definitely. Nigeria is working, and I believe from what I have visited the Protocol refinery and what I have seen that area 5, what I've seen there is very impressive, And if by July, if Protocol refinery comes off of steam, I also believe that petroleum products will be. But there is one significant information that I also want to drop here. The pipelines that was designed to be able to seamlessly take petroleum products from one point to another without, you see the fire incident in the element. If the tanker fell down and consumed over 100 trucks, these are things we can be able to use our pipeline which are being piped in system 2, system 2P, all this part of it. It was designed. So the whole 21 depots in this country, if products are passing through that pipeline, you will see less of the trucks on the road. You understand me? So this are, well, I don't know what I call it, a military measure to ensure that these pipelines are put in place. Products can pass through those pipelines. And it would be, if actually the pipelines are working, I want to tell you in 2 days, products will be, the Nigerian will be working. Product will be literally.
All right.
You understand me? So that also encourage some of these modular refineries that are upcoming, giving them crude in Naira, and also ensuring that whatever is the local content agreement government signs with them, those local refineries, encourage modular refineries.
All
encourage.
We need to wrap the conversation up. Thank you very much for your time this morning. It's a painful period for many Nigerians. You know, the issues that the average Nigerian is dealing with currently are too much to add, of course, you know, lack of petrol. But we'll see how things turn out in the next couple of days. Hopefully before the next 2 weeks, there's some relief. Thanks for joining us this morning. We'll speak with you again soon. All right. Now, moving away from petrol, the Senate Committee on Power has initiated an investigative hearing on the recent hikes in electricity tariffs in 11 states, signaling a critical evaluation of energy pricing policies and widespread public discontent. According to the committee chairman, Senator Inaya Abaribe, the investigative hearing was hinged on 2 motions presented at plenary on Tuesday, July 25th, 2023 and Wednesday, February 21st, 2024, where the Senate, by its resolutions, mandated the Committee on Power to engage with the Federal Ministry of Power, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, and other stakeholders.
The investigative hearing, which took place at the Senate wing of the National Assembly in Abuja on Monday, stated that the mandate of the committee was to find lasting solutions to the challenges facing the Nigerian electricity sector, including the need for comprehensive sector reforms. Lawmakers, however, declared that the Senate will punish anyone or agency found culpable of inflicting pain on ordinary citizens of the country. Joining us to discuss this further is Okoliko Ojonugwa, a public affairs analyst and a lecturer in the Department of Business Administration, National Open University of Nigeria. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. Do you have any faith in the outcome of this investigative hearing?
Well, talking about faith, it is not news anymore to the man on the streets, even to a child who is in primary school now, that we celebrate a lot of procedures, a lot of processes. We celebrate sessions and workshops and all of that in our climb so much. The problem has always been, the issue is the correlation between the sessions, the so-called public hearings, and the expected outcome. I do not have faith in whatever conversation that is coming up right now. I would rather wait to see things manifest or see things unfold, because it is not first time. It will be so insensitive of me, or I would say it is unintelligent to believe the same man who did the same thing over and over to you, and then at a point he comes up again with the same ploy or the same gimmick, and you rush to swallow it hook, line, and sinker. And so it's what we have gone through. We have gone through these phases over and over. We're here in this country, this same country, where a CBN governor, without consultations, without negotiations, without any form of explanations, broke all bureaucratic, moral, legal procedures and established laws that we know, to roll out, announce some new Naira notes policy. And the untold hardship that brought on Nigerians, who at the point we had to spend about 2,000 Naira to buy 5,000 Naira, to get 5,000 Naira here, notes. But at the end of the merry-go-round, at the end of all the noise, from the various portals and all of that, National Assembly, from those who claim to represent us, from the masses, from all the social from activism and all of that we had at that time. At the end of the day, from the merry-go-round. We had the Macabre dance. We are here today. The same CBN governor is in detention as we speak. The elites who were hired at that time, speaking grammar on television and radio and all the various media, are nowhere to be found today. We're in defense of those policies. And we're back to square one. And today we'll get to investigate the same policy. So the sincerity, we have lost faith. We see more of manifestation of failure of leadership. We have impunity. Impunity has characterized the activities of government where we come from and our climb, so much so that we have all lost faith. We have leadership where the leader finds very easy to take from the people, but to give to the people is so difficult. He takes the fish from the people, he prepares the fish, he eats the flesh, he gives the bone to the people, and when the people want to complain, he hires people who would come from the same masses, who would convince them with grammar and all forms of rhetorics why calcium is very important to them. And calcium is contained in the bones that they are giving to serving them. Yeah, so we have a lot of inhumanity of man to fellow man that makes us lose faith.
Yeah, I'm sure you're not the only one. I'm sure you're not the only one who feels, this way about, this hearing or any other hearing that will be held with the Senate. The National Assembly hasn't proven itself to totally represent, Nigerians and their interests. But I also want your thoughts on Adebayo Adelabo, who's the current Minister for Power. He has come under heavy criticism as to whether he is really able to handle the responsibilities that are set before him as Minister for Power. Do you believe that, things are way beyond his control? And, regardless of what he tries, none of these things would work? Or do you have faith, in his abilities as minister?
I have no faith. I said that before, and I want to reiterate. You see, the system, we have a systemic wrong. We have a system where the man, the Minister of Power, is acting a script. He's playing by a particular script. He has a master who has asked him to make announcements and make pronouncements. He is not making the announcements on the basis of competence, on the basis of capacity, on the basis of ability, and on the basis of sincerity to deliver. Let us take our minds away from the grammar, the rhetorics, the whatever, because we've had it over and over. The issue, where we have the issue here, is the fact that the executive arm seems to be the dominating and domineering arm, and seem to be the only active arm. The legislature is gone, the judiciary is gone completely, swallowed up by the executive. And that is why we cannot sit here and begin to talk about faith in whatever we get from the executive. The National Assembly, good to hear that they are now calling the Minister of Power, calling the executive to order. But to a large extent, we are quick to agree that the National Assembly is only seeking public appeal. Just like you just mentioned now, that they have to live up to their responsibilities. They have to make people feel, it's all about make-believe, make people feel that they're actually representatives of the people. But in all sincerity, any hike in price at this time, where food inflation is over 40% as we speak, brought upon us by the same system, the same executive arm, who were very quick to announce removal of subsidy, floating of the exchange rate, and brought all sort of trouble on us. We're now grappling with the realities that this brought to the multiplier effect of all of this, which were not considered. But you can see that to increase minimum wage from 30,000 naira has been a matter of discussions and here and there. 30,000 naira today with the exchange rate is just about $22 right now. And irrespective of all the people go through, we were here in the same country where the National Assembly, while they were telling us to be patient, we're busy sending prayers to their emails. And you ask me about faith. I have no faith in the Minister of Power. I have no confidence in it. Look at the timing, for instance. Is it now? It is wise. It's fine. It's in order to say, government, back off completely. Let private investors come in. But the grammar, the rhetorics they give to us, is there a match between the explanations, the expectations, and what we get eventually. So if you say, okay, government, take off your hands, remove subsidy in the power sector, fine, but not at this time. Look at the timing.
Yeah.
What would have been a better timing?
It's our thing to combine, to mix politics with business, and that's where the issue is. Imagine the classification of people into different bands. For instance, one band who can afford, to pay, who have uninterrupted electricity. Then those who cannot pay, who have darkness at the end of the day. But eventually, who pays the bills? These so-called manufacturing industries, these so-called industrial whatever, still have human beings living around them, still have consumers who are going to be at the receiving end. So this cost is going to be transferred to the ordinary Nigerians who they represent. And in fact, is that classification not even discriminatory? Is that constitutional? Well, I've not seen any part of our constitution that says one part should be favored at the expense of the other. All of this, I am pained, I'm sad, and like you say, all of us are sad. But we are. What is more amazing is the fact that the National Assembly, who is supposed to do due diligence, call these people to order, have become more of a toothless bulldog. And whatever I see, as far as I'm concerned, as a Nigerian, my personal opinion, which I stand to defend any time, is that it is only a decoy, to convince the people that we are representing them. That is what the National Assembly is just doing. And for the executive, it is all about meeting the goals that are heinous, that you and I are not exposed to. When they were printing Naira here, they didn't tell us. When they were so when they turn out policies, what they tell us is completely different from what the original, the actual end in real terms is. So I have no faith in the ability to deliver.
I'm sure a lot of people, share similar thoughts, concerning this. They have, of course, in the last couple of days, invited the Minister for Power to a Senate hearing. Of course, they're also speaking about inviting the NERC to also speak with regards where we currently are, and what steps needs to be taken moving forward. The Ministry of Power itself, and of course the Tinubu administration. I have questioned initially a couple of days or weeks ago. I questioned KPIs, and these ministries, the government itself, setting KPIs for itself with regards to electricity. KPIs that should tell us that, okay, this is where we hope to be by 2027. This is where we hope to be by 2025 at least. We want to be able to set up electricity generation or electricity distribution infrastructure to improve on where we are.
Exactly.
But do you sense, that there are any of these KPIs being set that they would improve on the infrastructure with regards generation or distribution or transmission to enable us to maybe by somehow, way, shape, or form hit 15,000, 20,000 megawatts of electricity by 2027 or 2030? Is this what you would expect from a ministry at this time?
Now, what we expect, the way I'll have issue is about the timing. This obviously is not the right time to unveil such policies. But government has proven that it has no capacity to do business in the power sector, in such a critical sector as the power sector. And so what is necessary, what is needful at the moment, considering timing in terms of implementation, like I emphasize, is to sell off these facilities. But the modality, sell to who? Because when some of the facilities were sold the other time, in terms of distribution, they were sold to persons that came under heavy criticisms, whether they were the right persons to buy, whether they were sold to the right investors who were actually interested in doing business. So it is instructive that government have to back off completely, sell off completely. But the modus operandi, the mode of this sale, the mode of this transaction must be pro-people. Government must supervise this with sincerity of humanity. Government must be human and humane in implementing all of this. Like I emphasized, the problem is faith, whether they are sincere. But I agree that the model is just, there is no argument that government have to back off completely. Back off, let serious-minded investors come into it, and then you see things turn around. Right now, the so-called regulation is not partial regulation. It's not working, because no businessman will want to come in, and as he wants to distribute, something happens with transmission, national grid breaks down. He's under the control of government. He has no control over that. And you want a serious businessman to come, and generation, transmission, distribution, all of that has to be left in the hands of serious private investors who push in resources, and then you will see things turn around. Power is sensitive, but the timing, not at this time. Government, as a result of its sensitivity, as a result of policy somersault, as a result of insincerity and insensitivity and irresponsiveness to the yearnings of the people, lack of leadership, lack of that ability to prioritize the yearnings of the led, has brought us to where we are, and we are grappling with these realities right now. And so it's not the time to say government back off. Government should see what they can do at the moment, right now. But going forward, when the ships are down, when the people begin to get messages of warmth, government should back off completely, sell off these facilities with sincerity of business and investment, not this noise.
Mr. Akoliko Ojonogwa, thank you very much for joining us this morning and sharing your thoughts with us. We do hope to see better days in our power sector, and we'll of course be following up with the investigative hearing by the Senate.
Thank you very much for having me.
Your time. All right, and now let's take you through some of the stories we've already looked at, and then share with you what to expect before we wrap up the show this morning. Fuel scarcity hits major cities in Nigeria. Nigerians are, of course, not finding this funny. We'll be looking at the reactions when we look at people in Nigeria. Senate begins investigative hearing on electricity hike, and we just concluded that conversation now. And ahead of Workers' Day, Marvelous Okomanu did share with us how Nigerian workers are faring and feeling about the Workers' Day. Now let's share with you what's coming up next on Breakfast Central.
Coming up next, Edo State Governor increases minimum wage to 70,000 naira. We also will be sharing with you what Nigerians are saying all over social media, and also the newspaper front pages. What are the major stories making headlines across Nigeria this morning? Feel free to join us.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. Now let's share with you what the front pages of the papers are saying. And joining us to look at the papers is Amechi Ikechukwu, who is a publisher of the Nation newspaper. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Always my pleasure.
How did you get here? Did you see the fuel queue? Or, some of us, they say all animals are equal, but some are more equal. The fuel scarcity might not be affecting you. How's life been lately?
Oh, didn't you know that I have a depot? So you should be doing.
But they're saying even marketers don't have petrol. Because we just spoke with the Ipman spokesperson.
Exactly.
It says NNPC doesn't have supply.
Are you above NNPC?
Some marketers are above.
Okay, let's look at this Nigerian newspaper and see what the front page is saying. This Nigerian newspaper this morning, Petrogony. Nigerians recount tales of agony over petrol. That's such an interesting word, Petrogony. As scarcity continues, motorists lament wasted productive hours, commuters stranded at bus stops. It will soon be over, say NNPC officials. Okay, EFCC operatives disperse pro-Yaya Bello protesters at Abuja office. We have more pressing issues in Nigeria. We're actually sometimes a bit of a joke. But how people can't access fuel? Some people are gathering themselves to go and protest in support of Yaya Bello.
Well, why not? If he has
his fans.
Within their rights, yeah.
I know. I'm just saying we don't have problem in Nigeria, really.
Well, now for those people, Protesting is much more important than even getting fuel. So
Exactly what I'm saying. You know, we don't really have problems. Like they didn't look for fuel to even drive to the protest ground. Anyway, what's my own? Senate resumes plenary, gives fresh conditions for lifting Ningi suspension. NIBSS active bank accounts in Nigeria hit 219.6 million in March, 219.6 million in March 2024. Tribunal stops multi-choice from increasing DSTV, GoTV subscription rates. And I certainly want you to react to that. Federal government needs 2.8 trillion naira to subsidize electricity in 2024, says Adelabu Power Minister. $10 billion investment required annually for 10 years to guarantee power supply. Let's start with Tribunal stopping multi-choice from increasing DSTV and GoTV subscription. Yesterday when we talked about it, Osage was of the view that these are independent businesses. The same way everybody is hit by the inflation is how they are also hit by inflation. It's how they're trying to pay salaries. It's how they are struggling to buy fuel. So as much as Nigerians want to cry, they should cry, but it's also a business. That was, part of the argument yesterday. And now a tribunal is stopping them from increasing their subscription rates. What do you think about this? Is this a fair judgment?
I don't know what the business of the tribunal is in all this, honestly. See, like you said, you people discussed yesterday, multi-choice is a private business. And it's not even, it's a luxury item. If you can't afford it, leave it.
Yeah.
You can assess your distance. Look, how do you expect? And I don't know why people always single out multi-choice. For in the last 2 to 3 months, we've seen other multinationals, even Nigerian breweries, increasing the price of beer. People can't afford to drink Star now. And nobody went to court. All of us were here when the government increased the pump price of petrol and said subsidy is gone. And nobody went out there demonstrating. We were here when Adelabu said if you're now in band A, you're going to increase electricity tariff by more than 200%. And people are paying. And even those are paying, are not even getting the so-called 20 hours electricity supply there. So why are people bothered about multi-choice? They are operating in the same environment where prices have gone up. Yeah. So they must also stay in business. We are even lucky that they are still here. Other businesses that can't cope with this very hostile economic environment, they have bolted, they have left our shores.
I agree with that, because if they leave, what are we going to be watching?
So, and they have a choice to also leave.
Yeah.
All right. Let's hear from Mr. Nat calling from Kwara State. Good morning, Mr. Nat. Thank you for calling. Please go ahead with your comment.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for calling. Please go ahead.
Okay, I just want to know, we don't know what is going on in our country now. I mean, concerning the petrol, the scarcity of petroleum. So we don't know. I want to understand, because some people, they were saying different things, but I don't believe them. But I just want to know what is going on, why we are suffering.
Yeah, all right.
All right. Thank you very much for calling.
Mr. Nat. So earlier we spoke with the IPMAN representative. He said 3 things: licensing, renewal issues with the NNPC Limited. He also spoke about turnaround maintenance for refineries all over Europe, where they are importing petrol from. And a few other logistics issues by the NNPC. Which of course I did state that a lot of these things don't add up. But this is where we are again. So what do you think might be once again playing out, and whose responsibility should it be to answer to Nigerians why they're having to suffer to buy petrol?
This is the responsibility of the government. You see, we are not serious in this country. And of course, there's this old saying that doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is a definition of insanity. This is insane. how we thought that somehow things are going to change. How will things change? Look, as you know, government continues lying to citizens. There is no supply. People are not investing in refineries because of inappropriate pricing of petrol. Therefore, if you remove the subsidy and people, more refineries. How many refineries have been built since President Bola Tinubu made the, is it famous or infamous subsidy is gone?
None, absolutely none. But their promises about, you know, refining. Just hold on, we'll let you continue. Tony, go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Go ahead quickly.
Thank you. I think there is business that anybody that comes into government, there is business that governments are doing and they don't want Nigeria to know. And the reason why I'm saying this is that during the time that communication is a monopoly, government throw it open, and we see that communication is no more for big. That very time, there is a minister that said that communication is not for the poor masses, that is for the rich. But when government throw it open, allow private sector to come in, people that are capable to do it to come in, we see that communication that they say that is not for poor people became for poor people. If people in government, if politicians, those that are ruling us, don't have any personal interest in petroleum products, why not do it as you do you throw it to the communication those days? Why not throw it open so that those that have capacity, there is a lot of Nigeria that have capacity to build a refinery. They have personal interest, and that is the way I understand it.
All right.
Good morning.
Thanks a lot, Tony from Benue. Go ahead, please.
As long as we continue this importation, along the value chain, you don't have any control over any of these issues.
Yeah.
This problem must continue. Is NNPC talking? You spoke to Ipman. NNPC has not given us any reason why we have this scarcity that we have now. And don't forget, even since the removal of the fuel subsidy, NNPC is the sole importer of petrol in this country. So it's NNPC that will tell us what the issues are, that they are doing turnaround maintenance. So all the refineries in Europe are doing turnaround maintenance at the same time.
And it's the same question that I asked. You recall he mentioned Belgium, Portugal, Sweden, Russia, and a couple of
Does it make sense? So that it is now a tradition that they have a calendar for turning around their refineries.
It's said usually in quarters, every quarter.
Or maintaining their distance. And even if it is true, a proactive government should have known that this period, that there will be, so that you have a stock that can take you over that period when
and beyond.
See, we are jokers. And that's why we continue. The Port Harcourt refinery, don't forget, they have been promising us since last year that it will come into full operations.
It was supposed to be by December last year, I believe.
December last year, they postponed it to about February this year. Now they are telling us that it is only 70% completed. And the 30% remaining will take about 8 or 9 months.
I don't know if in fact, we'll hold on. Let's hear from Tijani calling from Ibadan, then we'll head to another newspaper. Good morning, Tijani. Thanks for calling. Please go ahead with your comments.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I just want to comment a bit about this issue of all these providers of what do you call it, television services.
Multi-choice,
Yeah. So the issue is this. For me, I want to a bit disagree with your guest about saying that they are working in a business environment, that they need to survive and all the rest. Quite all right, yes, they need to survive, but these people are also exploiting us. They are exploiting us. Because once they know the market is here, can they pack and go if they see the situation is not it's not profitable for them. They should have pack and go. But it's not.
Why do you feel they're exploiting us?
Blame them much. I cannot also blame them much because we have Nigeria who have the capacity to set up those things and make rivalry with them. DSTV is driving all other people that want to come up and drive them out of the market and create monopoly. So it's unfortunate that we have Nigeria who have the capacity, but we rather want to run trip our money and make fast this thing. They should have set up something to rival them. They come and they know the market is here. So they should not exploit us. They should not exploit. That's my own position about the thing. So it's unfortunate that we don't have Nigerians who have enough money, or they are tripping their money rather than investing in that area to rival them. So they create monopoly and they want to continue to exploit us. That's the angle I look at it. I think they need to survive in the economy. So thank you.
All right, thank you very much. You know, even if it's a little contradictory saying that they create monopoly and at the same time saying that Nigerians are not even creating, rival companies.
DSTV is not a monopoly, for his information. There are other competitors there. We have Star Times, we have other distance. We have other service providers that also show football, which is the obsession of Nigerians, particularly with DSTV. That is not the issue. Exploiting you is a private business. They are there to make a profit. The truth of the matter is that nobody can operate in this environment the way it is. Look, if you go now and take a roll call of your staff, you'll find out how many came to work today.
Yeah.
Nobody can survive. People are now buying fuel across the country from 700 to 900 naira per liter. I understand that some people far north are even buying as much as 1,300.
Yes.
So who is fooling who? How can you survive in an environment as this? You want the old prices now to remain when you are not taxing the government that is making all these increases in all the power sectors, whether it is petrol, whether it is diesel, whether it is electricity.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the Daily Independent. We're, playing with time here. Big story there. Of course, he's still speaking. This one here says corruption allegation. Kayamo demarketing Nigeria's aviation sector, says experts. In an interview, he stated that the place was filled with corruption. Say aircraft leasing and insurance premiums may rise over action. Minister trying to justify interference into NCAA's jurisdiction. Top of your screen, federal government must invest $10 billion annually for improved electricity, says minister. Okay. Court orders EFCC to freeze 1,146 accounts of individuals and companies. I'm just going to take not all of them. Obaseki increases Edo workers' minimum wage to 70,000 naira. 4 killed, others injured as herdsmen attack Enugu community. We can see the governor of Enugu State there, Peter Mba, dressed as always with his red tie and blue suit. Of course, speaking with the victims. What else can we find here? Bandits killed, driver abduct 2 on Abuja Kaduna Highway. I think these are the big stories that we're going to share. Just pick out at random anyone you like to take.
The attack by herdsmen on Enugu community. I think this is one attack too many, and we must find a way of solving this problem of herdsmen attacks. Look, these people don't have a monopoly of violence, and we can all remain sitting ducks, waiting to be killed, and then we'll go to press, and the governor or the political leaders will come and preach and say, look, we are doing something about it. And at the end of the day, nobody is ever prosecuted for these heinous crimes. And we are waiting for the next attack, and the whole process now continues. Look, we must, as a people, say enough is enough. I think it was Napitobi that was saying yesterday that enough must be enough. There must be a time when the communities, if the government can't protect the people must have a way of protecting themselves, because you can't all be sitting ducks, waiting to be killed, waiting to be slaughtered when the state cannot protect you.
Yeah.
Look, these herdsmen, they can go and do their business elsewhere.
All right. Let's take a call from
They don't have any business coming to the southeast to come and slaughter innocent people that did not do anything to them. Do they have a monopoly of violence? Do they think that if the people say, okay, look, we are going to protect ourselves, that they have the desire to overpower the people? They can't.
Maybe they have the equipment that the people don't have.
No.
We'll come back to have that conversation. Let's hear from Joy. Good morning, Joy. Thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Good morning. I'm Joy from Firebird.
Thank you very much for calling, Joy. Please go ahead with your comments.
Well, I just want to ask this question. Which way Nigeria? Because everything is just hard in this Nigeria. There's no answer. There's no solution. Which way are we actually heading to? Because this suffering, we are suffering. Nigeria are really suffering. Like, we really want to know which way.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a really good question.
Thank you so much, Joy, for calling. It was in the 1980s, I believe that Sonny Okosun asked, 1984 if I'm correct, which way Nigeria. We're still asking that question today.
If he was still making music today.
Exactly. He will be, I mean, he was a prophet. A number of things he predicted, him and the likes of Fela, we're still seeing them, the things they were complaining about. I saw a clip of people protesting in 1994 during fuel scarcity, and unfortunately, we still have that reality here. But
without the protest.
Sorry?
Without the protest.
Exactly. Interesting. Let's get back to the headsman story as quickly as possible, because we want to quickly take one more paper. You are saying that, I mean, they don't have monopoly of violence.
They don't.
But if you look at the fact that, first of all, our borders are porous. There have been allegations of it being sponsored by some other people who are not the foot soldiers. So in a way, the people are sort of boxed in a corner. That's what it feels like.
The people are boxed in a corner because the government continues promising that they will protect, and which is the most important function of the government, the protection of lives and property of the citizens. When government is reneging or failing to carry out that function, which is what people mean when they say that Nigeria is a failed state, because when you cannot protect the lives of the citizens, every day 20 people massacred in Benue, 50 people massacred in Plateau, and on daily basis, we are spilling blood by non-state actors, and the state is helpless. That is the definition of a failed state. And all I'm saying is that if the government can no longer guarantee the safety of the people, then the people should find a way of helping out rather than sitting there waiting to be killed.
All right.
4 people have been killed now. The people have melted away. The governor goes to commiserate with them, and that will be the end of it.
And that's it.
2 months, 3 months down the road, the same thing will happen again.
It's too far. We see it happening in the papers every day.
Well, let's
quickly move away to the Punch newspaper. On the front page of the Punch newspaper, the big story there says, petrol hits 800 naira as 240 million litre vessels arrive. Sub-stories there, 5 tanker vessels offloading PMS at Lagos Port. Independent marketers sell over 800 naira to the litre. Black marketers charge 1,200 naira to the litre. Motorists groan. Commuters lament rising transport fare. Tinubu will end economic sabotage, Shetima tells African leaders. $2.4 billion forex claims fictitious, says CBN. Nurse accuses Lagos hospital of negligence over wife and son's death. 1.4 million UTME candidates scored below 200 according to JAMB. EFCC probes 1,146 frozen accounts for money laundering. Federal government begins fresh bid rounds for oil blocks. 2 final stories. Customers panic as CBN bans OPay, PalmPay, others new accounts. Edo workers hail Obaseki over 70,000 naira minimum wage. We have a call from Samuel. Good morning, Samuel. Thank you very much for calling. Please go ahead with your comments.
Good morning. Good morning. New Central. You people speak my mind this morning. The first man that you interviewed, that my brother in the studio, he has a question, which I really am happy with the question that he threw at that man. He asked the man that all the maintenance, as they are taking our crude oil to abroad, that all the maintenance, that means all the maintenance in abroad, they are just all of them in a day. They are just maintaining all their engine so that they will not recruit the oil. You know, in this Nigeria, the way our government is treating us is not fair. Me, I'm a driver. My salary is 70,000 naira. You know, look at it, and I have 3 children with 1 wife. How much am I going to give them in a month? Sometimes my Oga go, they talk to me because the man know I'm angry. Because if there's another work, I will go for it to go and look for another work. But there's no, our government are not treating us well. If person goes steal now, they go to say you go steal. What are our people where they embezzle our money? Please, we are listening to New Central every day. But our government should do something because they're always listening to radio, they're listening to TV. They're not doing the right thing. We have 4 refineries in Nigeria. No one is working. Since last year, everybody don't come out and talk, say, then go do this, December I go work, December I go do this. It's not fair. It's fair. They have family too. Yeah. What about a man that cannot take a 3 square meters in a day? How is it going to be? Please, if we should help us talk to them, they are listening to you people. You know, may God help us.
Thanks a lot. And thanks
Thank
for keeping it short also, you know, but I mean, that's the reality of many people, you know, and there are people who even have it worse. You know, he at least earns 70,000. There are people who don't even earn, you know, that much. You know, they still have to survive every single day, living with these realities, while the government, you know, seemingly continues to look for new ways to make it worse. The vice president, of course, says that Tinubu will end economic sabotage. He tells African leaders.
Who is sabotaging the economy of Nigeria? If you ask me, I will say it is the leadership. Look at what is going on in the Niger Delta. Look at how much of our crude is stolen every day. Also, I can assure you that people who are stealing our crude are not ordinary people. They're not even the so-called Niger Delta militants. It is an organized crime, highly organized, sophisticated. You don't have those vessels in the waters of the Niger Delta coming to take crude oil. They are not. So the people who are sabotaging the economy are those in government. They are the people who have looted our resources now for too long. What kind of sabotage could be worse than corruption? We are here now talking about a former Accountant General of the Federation that is being tried for 109 billion naira stolen now from the district. See, also, you see, like I said earlier, we are not serious in this country, in any other country. The man was saying the other day that he's surprised that he's being tried because that he had given every information, that he cooperated with the EFCC. So he's surprised that he's being tried. 109 billion. He's lucky he's a Nigerian. In some other climes.
Yeah, he would, you know, be on death row. Welcome back, Tony. Go ahead quickly.
Okay, I just want to comment on Fulani militia. You know, my brother in studio, I'm living in Benue State. If you are very close to where this thing is operating, you understand it more. This Fulani militia, they are well trained. And they moved with a sophisticated weapon. Now, if we say communities should defend themselves, how many communities, how are they trained to face this kind of people that have undergone training for this kind of criminal act? As I'm talking to you, in Otukpo local government in Benue State, about 3 communities no more in their place. They are off their community. Nobody is living there. In Enugu State, where this thing happened, in Hamufu, about 2 villages is no more. There are no more residents. If you go there, you won't see anybody there. This militia, they are well trained, and it's something that government must come out to combat it. It's not something that you can allow villagers to handle the issue. They can't handle it. Good morning.
Thank you very much for joining us. I think I share similar sentiments with him, because for the longest time, we've always heard about how it's not just these people, they're just foot soldiers, that there are people behind the scenes that are manipulating, sponsoring terrorism. We saw the list of how many names that was released a few months back of, oh, these are the sponsors of terrorism. But
and the government has refused, deliberately refused to do anything about it. So what do we do?
Not like we expected them to do anything about it.
So what do we do? In Plateau State, how many people were murdered the last time? See, as we speak, and that's why you can't but get angry when people tell you all manner of Nakokambul stories. Like he said, there are villages in Benue State, all these people that are living in IDP camps across the country, people are effectively occupying their ancestral homes.
Yeah.
Doesn't the government know? What are they doing?
I mean, that's why the Humanitarian Affairs Ministry is there, so that they can take care of doing those in IDP camps, without efforts to move them away from IDP camps.
So people are taking over. This is territorial occupation. It's about land. It's about land grabbing.
Okay.
So you go to Plateau State, you chase the people out. They are conveniently somewhere in Jos, in IDP camps, whereas people have effectively. Who are these people? Are they Nigerians? And what are we doing? So if the government has refused to help, what else?
Right now. Anyway, let's hear from Favor. Favor, thank you very much for calling. Please go ahead with your comment. Oops, we've lost Favor's call. We hope that you're able to reconnect, but we, of course, are coming to the end of the newspaper review. Thank you so much for joining us. It gets very heavy whenever we have to review the papers, because it always just feels like it's bad news upon bad news we always have to look at. But this is the reality of what Nigerians are facing, and we're not going to sweep it under the carpet. We'll keep talking about this. And we thank you for always making yourself available to us every time we invite you.
Thank you. Always my pleasure.
All right. We, of course, have more conversations to look at. The governor of Edo State has increased the minimum wage to 70,000 Naira. That's a conversation we're going to be looking at, not just as our top story, but also when we head to the streets of social media to see what Nigerians are saying. The governor of Edo State, Governor Obaseki, has approved the new minimum wage for civil servants in the state from 40,000 Naira to 70,000 Naira with effect from May 1st, 2024. The governor revealed this while commissioning the new labor house in Edo State on Monday, stating that it was due to the recent exchange rate devaluation, economic realities, high food prices, inflation, and willingness to get people to work better.
The governor, while justifying the increment, emphasized that the government and governance are about our people of Edo State, adding that no government can claim to be doing well if its people are in penury and unhappy. And we, of course, will take a look at this this morning and x-ray the reactions to this in what Nigerians are saying.
All right. Before we're going to have our guest joining us shortly and talking about this. I mean, there have been several reactions to this. There are people who are in support of it, and there's those who are against it. But we have Odion Olaye, who is the chairman of Nigerian Labour Congress, joining us this morning to share his thoughts. Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for joining us. Is the Nigerian Labour Congress impressed with the move in Edo State, the increment of the minimum wage from 40,000 to 70,000 Naira?
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. The Nigerian Labour Congress, we are very, very much excited. The workers of Edo State, they are very, very much excited. Since yesterday, the workers of Edo State have been praying for Mr. Governor Obaseki for being their friend, for doing so well for the workers of Edo State. We are delighted.
Okay, some of the reactions, however, that I've seen on social media, which I'll be taking much later or very soon, they have not been very pleasant. There are many people who feel that this is some sort of publicity stunt so that the current administration can rally votes in support of his quote-unquote anointed candidate, according to how they refer to Aswa Ighodalo. So what do you say to those who say that this is some form of electoral publicity stunt, that it could have been done at any time, and why is he doing it at this time?
Well, to me, he didn't come to play politics with us. And I don't think he do it so that the workers of Edo State can vote for Aswa Ighodalo. But I want to say one thing. To whom much is given and much is expected. And if the workers of Edo State decide to vote for Governor Obaseki party for what he has been doing for the workers of Edo State, I don't think it's bad. I want to let you know, Edo State is the only state receiving 40,000 naira minimum wage since 1st May 2022. And I also want to tell you, Mr. Governor Obaseki, the governor of Edo State, released 200 million every month to pay the backlog of pensioner gratuity. And I also want to let you know that Governor Obaseki increased teachers' retirement, not quite long, from 60 years of age to 65 years of age, 35 years of service to 40 years of service. And I also want to let you know that the pensioners in Edo State, Governor Obaseki register all of them for health insurance scheme. And look at just yesterday, you see the befitting edifice he built for the organized labor in Edo State. At that same time, because he has the worker at heart, he also increased the minimum wage from 40,000 naira to 70,000 naira.
Mr. Olai,
So if the workers of Edo State,
Mr. Olai, kindly hold on. You know, be with you again in just a minute. We'll take a very short break. When we come back, we'll have you continue your thoughts, and then also speak on other things. Welcome back. We're still speaking with Odion Olaye, who's, of course, representing the labor union in Edo State, on, of course, Godwin Obaseki and his 70,000 naira minimum wage that had just been announced. Mr. Olaye, you know, kindly go on with your thoughts, but I also want to throw in, you know, the points that while Edo State claims to be paying 40,000 naira minimum wage and, of course, increasing now to 70,000 naira minimum wage, it is one of the states that has taken loans and is in billions of naira in loans, or in debt rather, in order to similarly afford this minimum wage. It's not the only state, but it's one of those states. And so if the state cannot fund its 40,000 naira minimum wage without having to take loans, how is it going to fund 70,000 naira minimum wage? And doesn't that, you know, disturb you that Governor Obaseki might leave the state indebted for whoever else to continue paying those loans simply because he wants to pay 70,000 naira minimum wage?
Well, Governor Obaseki, I knew, the governor of Edo State. I knew before he come out to said he want to pay 70,000 naira minimum wage. He didn't rely on borrowing money. The reason is this. When Governor Obaseki was the chairman of Economic Committee of Dams Ali Oshomole, he was the one who worked out the modality that made Comrade Dams Ali Oshomole to pay 25,000 naira minimum wage for those state workers when other states were paying 18,000 naira. And Oshomole succeeded that as a governor from the advice and the working formula of Governor Obaseki as chairman of Economic Committee. And since it started paying 40,000 naira to Edo State workers, well, as a labor leader, as the chairman of Nigeria Labour Congress Edo State, we also have our way of investigating things like that. We have not heard that he has gone to borrow money because of minimum wage.
No, but he
And
has
as
been
we
borrowing.
also-
I mean, if you look at from CBN statistics, the states that have borrowed the most to pay salaries 2015 to 2024, Edo State is on that list. It's number 6 on the list. Imo State is the highest. Kogi, Kano, Oyo, Oshun, Edo State, Benue, Ondo, Kaduna, and Abia. It's about 15.76 billion naira as at the last time that it was checked. And of course, there's also, aside, just payments of salaries, the state is, heavily indebted, to more than 100 billion naira. The point is, in the time that Governor Obaseki has been in office, he has not been able to make Edo State, to some extent, self-sufficient enough to even pay its own salaries. So is this, isn't this something that should be, a red flag, before we celebrate the fact that he needs to now, or he's trying to improve on, minimum wage of 70,000 naira? Mr. Olai, can you hear me?
If Governor Obaseki network,
if
Governor Obaseki as a governor of Edo State, the money you are just talking about, I don't know if you borrow it because of a salary, and then now you are bringing to my notice. We as a labor, we will investigate. That is one. Two, if the governor feel for Edo State workers, I don't want them to be unpaid. They should be able to take care of themselves and their family. And he do so. It's not a bad one. And I knew Governor Obaseki, he will be able to offset this debt before he leaves. Yes, I know he has nothing less than 6-7 months before he go, but he will do something better in accepting the debts before he leaves.
Well, we'll see. Thank you very much, Odion Olai, for joining us this morning. Congratulations to Labour, and of course for your new house in Edo State built by the governor. And we hope that we can get to speak with you again soon. Thanks for stopping by. All right. And of course, this is where we will be wrapping up conversations this morning, Tuesday morning on Breakfast Central. Thank you very much for joining us all through, and those who participated via the phone lines. Thank you very much for watching and for calling. Let's share with you what comes up later today as we wrap up Breakfast Central. 1 p.m. West African time, we're bringing you In the Game. Of course, 5 p.m. West African time, one slot. Tonight comes your way much later, 10 p.m. West African time. Where we say goodbye. Thank you very much once again for joining us. We'll be back here again tomorrow morning to share with you, of course, latest news updates and, of course, the conversations happening across the country. I am Osaogie Ogbonwa.
And I am Olive Emodi. See you tomorrow.